The World Economic Forum is hoping that you won't pay attention. Their meeting just ended over a week ago, but it didn't really end, did it? No. In fact, that was just the public part. That was only the beginning. The real maneuvering happens in private. And since that meeting, it's all started to come together. The World Economic Forum is literally insane, and it's run by a group of unelected elites that are so out of touch that they want to take away all of your personal and financial freedoms and consolidate it under one roof. Now, this isn't a fake news story or a conspiracy theory. This is happening right before our eyes. It's written right in their meeting notes.
When they walked in that room and voted to do going direct, they literally knew they were going to put 500 million people out of work. That is the equivalent of dropping several nuclear bombs on major cities around the world. You just do it. It's a financial nuclear bomb instead of a physical nuclear bomb.
More on that in a minute. But first, something happened last week that didn't get a lot of attention because Democrats were busy playing sleight of hand or hide the real news story salami. That's right. They were focused on January 6th hearings. And of course, the major news networks fell in line to broadcast primetime coverage of the January 6th hearings. Every major news network went wall to wall with coverage of this. And all of this, of course, to distract you from the real story.
Red hot inflation data. That's the biggest thing we're watching, of course, this morning. The consumer price index coming in at 8.6% in May. That's a new 4-decade high.
Prices right here at this gas station jumping a whopping 40 cents overnight to $5.95 a gallon. The pain at the pump is being felt across the country.
Yes, it's the 1970s all over again. Inflation levels hitting bell-bottom levels. But it's worse than that number right now because the U.S. stock market is also a major disaster right now. And that means your 401k plan or other retirement accounts are being slaughtered. If you're lucky enough to have a retirement account, that is. If you're not, then of course you're seeing your paycheck going dramatically less far than it used to. You see, these billion-dollar companies took your taxpayer dollars through bailouts and federal money coming from the Federal Reserve, and they bought back company stocks instead of hiring people or giving pay raises. These very same corporate scumbags that met at Davos are now telling you how to live your life, and are the very same people, by the way, working hand in hand with major Western governments to take control over the money supply. As an example, remember the baby food shortage? This is how the White House handled that question.
What the FDA has said that they're going to do, and they talked about that last week, which is look into this, make sure that we get to a place that we get to the bottom of what happened.
And if that wasn't good enough, we needed someone to blame it on. Who could we blame it on?
Putin's price hike is hitting America hard. Gas prices at the pump, energy and food prices account for half of the monthly price increases since May.
Ah, the Putin price hike. Right. Sure, all of these things are Putin's fault. They literally think we are stupid. They think you're going to fall for this. In fact, what actually happened was Abbott Foods, the baby food formula company, took billions in money from the U.S. Federal Reserve, and instead of fixing their bacteria equipment problem they knew that they instead bought back their own shares with your money. Then people died because they didn't use that money to fix their plants, and we had a nationwide baby food shortage. But I'm sure some of those people at that business will be prosecuted. Right, sure they will. But all of these businesses have done the same thing, not just the baby food company. The real story, though, isn't the baby formula or even inflation. The real story in all of this is the collapse of the U.S. dollar as a reserve currency, and the rise of this consolidated power by these globalists at the World Economic Forum.
One is that we recognize a bubble and know what a bubble when there is one. Secondly, that we have one right now. And thirdly, that it's going to burst.
Now, let me take you a step further. While they're busy lecturing you about inflation and the need for a digital currency, they're secretly buying as much gold as they can. That's right. They want you to be under their thumb, and they want to lie to you right in front of your face about their intentions. So the billionaires and bankers that run the world, those that met at Davos, are moving to consolidate power even further by eliminating cash and moving us fully to a centrally controlled digital currency where they can monitor, they can track, and they can have their hands in every transaction. Now, what we need to do right now is take control of our own money and our own money supply. And one way to do that is outside of this globalist cabal who wants to create a one-world digital currency. We need to store cash in the form of gold and silver. Just look at what the central banks are doing right now. They are hoarding gold. I looked at the data today. As of today, central banks added an additional 84 tons of gold to their gold reserves. Why are they doing that? Why aren't they telling you about it? Central banks won't let the currency be connected to gold because they sure as hell want to own as much of it as they can. They don't want this digital currency tied to that at all. Central banks are hoarding gold. It affects the supply and the demand of domestic currency because banks rely on printing more money in order to buy gold. They have to make up this fake currency, and then they go and they buy the gold. Thereby, they create an excess supply of fiat currency. So they're printing money in order to buy as much gold as they can. And because they're printing trillions of dollars, they're driving up inflation, which is crushing you. It's all part of the plan. We should all be concerned, and that's why we've partnered with a gold producer to bring you this video. Benchmark Metals is a gold producer that is actively mining gold in many multiple areas in Canada. Now, they are working as fast as they can right now to extract as much gold and silver as they can to keep up with demand, because the demand for gold is off the charts. And silver is incredibly important for solar panels, so that demand is off the charts. And that's also part of what the World Economic Forum is looking for. They need silver. They need these metals. They need them to carry out their agenda. And by the way, Benchmark Metals can't pull it out of the ground fast enough. They told me that they are sitting on over 5 million ounces of gold right now in their mining projects. That is incredible. So what the team at Benchmark Metals told me is that because U.S. inflation is hitting 40-year highs and the U.S. government continues to print U.S. dollars, we are heading towards a gold supercycle with prices hitting $2,500 for an ounce of gold. Yeah, $2,500 an ounce. So the demand for gold right now, as of today, is 34% higher than it was last year. And the demand for silver is up to 1.1 billion ounces. So it's no wonder that China, USA, Russia are all trying to buy as much gold as they can. And oh, and by the way, just got the note today, Egypt also buying as much gold as they can right now and storing it. They want the actual real value while they try and move you over to a digital currency or to a government currency that they have total control over. So yeah, gold is highly in demand. This is what Cathie Austin Fitts had to say about this new form of money control.
We will lose essentially everything that we've ever enjoyed in the Western world. So this is the end of Western liberty, and it cannot be permitted, and it's going to have a major impact. When the World Economic Forum says it's 2030 and you have no assets and you're happy, what I hear it's 2030, we've stripped you of your assets and you're mind controlled.
So these guys now have a framework to push for all digital financial control system using the CBDCs, or the central bank digital currencies, which gives them enormous power over you. Now, the real story, though, is gold. I want you to keep your eye on this. These billionaires don't want you to have it. They don't want you to be involved in making money. They want the gold and silver. So what's interesting about this, and where I actually put my family's money, is gold mining and silver mining stocks, because they have outperformed physical gold and physical silver by double digits in the past two gold bull markets. So I own both the stocks in the producers and the actual gold and silver, because I don't want these governments having any control over my family when it comes to the money supply. So investing in a company like Benchmark Metals, you'd actually be up year to date, while people investing in other stocks have been getting crushed. So that's why I invest in gold companies and silver companies, because the demand for precious metals has been around for 4,000 years. It's not going anywhere, and it's more important than ever with all of the printing of this fake currency right now. So Benchmark Metals has a huge project in British Columbia, Canada. Right now, it's called their Lawyers Gold Silver Project, and they own 100% of this mine right now. Their early testing shows huge deposits of gold and silver at this mine. So our thanks to Benchmark Metals for sponsoring today's video and supporting what we do here on this channel. You can actually invest directly in their company if you'd like to on the stock exchange. So their stock ticker is this. It's BNCHF right here on the screen. Their stock price as of this morning of this publication is 63 cents a share. So even just buying $100 of the stock or $1,000 is really cheap. So as they produce more gold, their stock continues to rise. That's how it works. And more silver, by the way. In fact, 3 analysts that track gold companies very closely and that I trust implicitly just gave a price target as high as $2.80 a share. So that's a nice profit from 63 cents all the way up to $2.80 in the near future, especially when they start pulling out that additional gold and silver from that new mining site. Anyway, protect your family's wealth away from these globalist billionaires. Get educated on this process, okay? Holding precious metals, making sure that your family is protected as they try to push you towards this new world order. I'll have a link below to their gold report. You should all read it, and I'll see you next time, everyone.